Ideas only at their own idea state do not make money. Just because you have a very brilliant idea and you want to make money using the idea and you let that idea remain on the idea state, will never make you money. And guess what happens? I have seen a lot of people going to grave with the brilliant ideas that they want to execute. They never executed. They never did anything. They let the idea remain on the, what do you call it? The preliminary levels of whereby it's just an idea. You cannot even do anything about it. You ain't gonna make money about that, okay? Today I'm gonna show you exactly, there's nothing wrong with having an idea. I mean, after all, at the end of the day, the money we have, it is because of the idea that we actually generated, okay? Now, I'm gonna take you step by step on exactly what you're supposed to do so that at least you can use the idea, incorporate that idea, use the idea to actually make money at the end of the day, all right? So, by the way, if you're watching for the first time, make sure that you subscribe to this channel. If you're a returning subscriber, make sure that you hit the like button. Let's get into the business. Now, the very first thing that you're supposed to understand, the primary thing for you to make money, it usually starts with an idea. So conceive the idea. All right, go ahead and conceptualize that idea that you have. We always generate the idea. We can get idea from the friends. We can get ideas from the social media. Like you can actually watch me and generate an idea out of that specific video. All right, so the point is there is nothing wrong with you conceiving an idea. Anyone can conceive an idea. And everyone, by the way, on earth usually have ideas. By the way, if you go to these guys who, especially the young guys who do not have the jobs, and ask them, do you have an idea? They have the most brilliant ideas out there, but they still remain to the brilliant level. All right, let's go to the next step now. After having the idea with you, after conceiving the idea, what do? You go to the next level whereby you learn about its applicability to do what? To solve the current problem. I repeat, see, you might have an idea. For example, let's say you must have a crazy idea for, like I want to start a coffee somewhere because, hey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the coffee business that you want to start, it has to solve a problem. It can be an idea, yes, but what problem is it solving? Come on, because guess what? At the end of the day, money is a reward given and after solving someone's problem. Let's say I'm walking in the street and I'm hungry. I see, let's say, a restaurant. I show up to that restaurant and I want to take myself, let's say, a chicken and some vegetables and whatever the thing I want to take there. Or maybe say I want like chicken soup. That's what I want. That's a problem that I'm having. I'm in a problem because I'm in a craving of a chicken soup. So do you have it? Yes, I have the chicken soup. Now you have solved my problem. And guess what happens? I'm going to reward you for that. You get what happens now? See, you can have an idea, a brilliant one, but what problem is it solving? That's a reality. I saw a certain young man who realized his village do not have electricity. They're actually off the grid. And he knew one thing. Hey, guess what? We have a fall near my area. Okay, so I can actually make some what we call the makeshift turbines and what have you, by the converter or the inverters or what have you. I can generate electricity. First of all, I may not be able to sell the electricity to people, but I can do so for my village. Hey, I'm not telling you do this. Sometimes your government can actually be on your shoulder. But it's a true thing that happens actually in Kenya. So the guy went to that fall, actually made some turbines, made some electricity, and actually did wire the electricity back home. And guess what happens now? He's solving the problem that the village has, and people are showing up. Hey, guess what? Can you connect me? At a fee, obviously. Can you connect me? So the idea that you have, sometimes I usually get mesmerized when you meet somebody and telling you, I just want to get to the fashion and design because I love it. You ask them, okay, what do you want to get to? Because I love it. Not because of you. You're not the one who will be your customer. You're not going to be the customer of your own thing. You have to consider, well, I love the fashion and all those kind of things. Why? I'm passionate about it. On top of that, well, in my area, I realize also we have a lot of people who are so much enthusiastic when it comes to what they dress and how they do the thing and all those kind of things. Come on, there's a business, go for it. Now, guess what? Learn about it, its applicability to solve the current problem. So first of all, you have to identify. Sometimes you may not have the idea. Sometimes it doesn't have to start with the idea's conception. First of all, it starts with identification of the problem, and then goes to the conception of an idea. Then you learn the process. Learn how actually can it be applied to actually go ahead and do what? Solve the existing problem. And guess what happens now? You go to the next level. Now, how do you monetize that? Now, let me tell you one secret. If there is somewhere I can spend a lot of time is here. Most of the people do not know how to monetize that what they understand. And this is what happens. You find somebody who is a comedian. You're very good at making comedy videos. You actually out there. You make us happy. We are so happy. Wow, we like your social media account. But you survive under the masses of the brands. you have to survive on the masses of the brands, where the brands, they come and tell you, hey, so and so, would you like us to show up on this thing? Or maybe when you're making your videos, that's the way you make money. And guess what happens? Because you're so much desperate about that coin, or maybe when you're actually invited for what we call the, what do you call it? When you survive on these things, we call like the stand-up comedian or stand-up comedian, what have you. So the thing is this now, how do you monetize your services? Do you sell some merch, for example? Do you actually have something that you sell out? Do you sell your service and what have you? Now, you have identified that problem. That problem gonna be solved by this solution. And now this is how this solution gonna make me money. Now you understand, okay, by the way, from my area, I have realized one thing. Most of the landlord and those people who want to rent some houses, we call them the tenants, they have to walk all the street, buy food, looking for the available vacant houses for them to go ahead and acquire where they can actually migrate for the next level. So I'm an IT guy. So I can generate, or I can create an app whereby there is a part for the tenants, whereby they can upload their photos of their houses, the locality where those houses are, and at the same time, they can actually have a section whereby the tenants can be able to view those houses, and they can actually get a link up. And for me to have them link up, then they have to part ways with this amount of money. Or for the tenants or for the landlord to actually get the app, they must pay a certain subscription fee and all those. So you really need to think on how you can go ahead and do what? Be able to generate income out of that specific thing. That's a reality. Or overly, you can make that app free, like the way you usually have the WhatsApps and Instagram for free and all those kind of things. But now you look at it from a point of, hey, guess what happens? People can actually put some ads in those particular areas. People can actually do particular areas. Maybe when people are purchasing the data, you can as well partner with, you have to look at areas, because if you can actually conceive an idea, solve a problem, show view its applicability, but you cannot identify where you make money out of it, unless maybe you want to get into the philanthropy kind of an environment, it's okay, you can go with it. But if you cannot be able to monetize it, then you can get yourself into lots of the problem. And this is what I always even tell people who are joining the university. Go get a degree, go get that course or career that you can actually monetize it. You do not have to survive under the masses of being employed. I repeat, when you're going to the university, especially in those guys in Kenya, right now, in 5 or whatever months, they are going to be in the university. Go pick a course that you can actually monetize it. You can be able to make cash or money out of it by your own means, just in case something. Just assume, if you're operating on a worst case scenario, and I think Africa, we are operating on a worst case scenario where we don't have the job for the graduates. How can you actually use that information that you have to leverage on it and make some cash out of it, solve people's problem, monetize the thing and get the cash out of it? So that is quite of a skill that you need to possess. Okay, let's go to this. The fourth point. The fourth point is now when you test and plan it. See, when you test it, for example, say you are generating or you are developing such an app that I was talking about, whereby we have a section for the landlords, we have a section for the tenants and what have you, and people can actually access it. Guess what happens now? If you cannot test it, you cannot identify where are the problems, where are the loopholes, and what have you. Have you ever heard of these big companies actually, when they develop a new thing, they invite the hackers, for them to sort of hack the system to identify a loophole, and the moment you identify that loophole, they sort of absorb you or something also, or they pay you a certain fee so that they can be able to seal that and all those kind of things. So you will have to test that idea. Go ahead and test that idea. Probably some of this testing process may not be applicable to some of the ideas. Let's say you want to start a business. Now, how do you test it? Do you start it to test it so that you can start it later? No, not really. So what you do, you actually sample with the existing such ideas that you have, or rather that are in existence. You take out and get to understand, how are they performing? By the way, are they on the blink of closing? It's good to, maybe let's say you want to start, let's say something like cosmetic business, or you want to go to those who are doing the business that locality. Obviously, don't go directly and ask them, how is the business doing? Are you making money? By the way, what can you advise? Obviously, they cannot tell you the information. Just look at them. Look at their lifestyle. Look at what they are doing, but don't be fooled by their lifestyle at the same time. Look at what they are doing, how they are behaving, how they are relating, and all those kind of things. Get to see, are they these people in business? Are they regretting? Are they about to close? And all those kind of things. What are the customer references, or what kind? See, be the customer, show up to their premises, how are their customer service and all what have you. Test it and also plan it. Plan is where now we incorporate If it is an idea that requires money to start upfront, go ahead and do the thing. But if it's an idea that, you see, some of the ideas do not require money to start. For example, if you want to be a content creator and you have a smartphone and you have a microphone, or maybe you can just start with a smartphone alone. You just stand before a camera, you can just hold the phone by yourself and start talking, blah, 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 and upload that video, all right? So for that, probably the cost of production may be way low, or upfront cost when you want to start that engagement may not even require anything. So the point is this, again, there's some things that requires you to have the money. So again, you have to identify, fine, this is my budget, this is my business plan, I require this amount of money, this is what I set aside for the advertisement, this is what I set aside for employment, this is what I'm going to set aside upfront, just in case the business doesn't show up, you know, it doesn't stand on its own for the first 2, 3 or whatever the months. Okay, so you have to make sure that you set aside that amount of money for the purposes of the operational cost. So test it, and guess what happens? Plan it at all the time. Now we go to the last one. Now this is the most delicate part. Everyone can actually plan all these things, but when it comes to the execution, this is where a lot of people draw the line. They fear the fear of the failure. Hey, I'm gonna start this business. What if it fails? What gonna people say? You know, I'm starting this up. And that's why I always tell people, sometimes when you're starting a new idea, don't share to most of the people. All right, I understand you might have that ability of maybe not holding that failure and something of sort. Just keep quiet. Just keep quiet. Keep on doing your things under the camera, in Kenya we call it under the water, you know, just below, you know, just out there. Do the thing, do the thing, do the thing. Show up. And sometimes you don't even have to show up. The success shows up, and then you're like, for example, when I was starting on these videos, I'm making videos and content. Some people thought I was joking and all those kind of things, until they see you on TVs, until they hear you on radios, until they see you on those big social media platforms where you've been captured and what have you. That's the time they realize, wow, so you're serious on this kind of a thing. So that is exactly what you do. So what happens is that do not fear to execute. Go ahead and execute. You may not get all the, by the way, when you're doing all the research before you execute that idea, you may not be able to get everything that you're looking for. But by the time that you're executing, at least you have over, we usually say in business, we should at least cross what we call the 50% mark. 50% mark, at least you know more than you don't know. I don't know whether that will make sense. So for you to actually make a decision of starting a business, you have to be on the flip side of you know more than you don't. You get what I'm saying? Whereby, let's say we give it an average of 100%. Let's say 100% is when you know everything about the business. Obviously, that does not apply. There is no way you can get into a venture that you know everything about it. And there is no, okay, fine, you may know everything about it, but you do not have a control of its everything that affects that specific business. You get what I'm saying? But when you're on a section whereby you at least cross the 50% mark, at that particular point, you are at 60, you are 65, you are 68, you are at 70, you are at 80. The closer you are towards the 100, the minimal the minimal the risk that you're going to engage or incur along the process of that specific engagement. That is exactly what we do. So what happens is, like, for example, say you want to start a business somewhere. There's no way you can get a very nice and elegant place, a very good secured place. You get a very nice landlord, you get a very nice suppliers and distributor, you get a nice, very nice competitors, you get, there's some of the things that you have to overlook them for you to actually start that engagement or that business, for you to move to the next level. And guess what, guys? That marks the end of my video. Don't forget to hit that like button, comment down below, make sure that you subscribe. And by the way, my number is always on that description of that specific video. Go ahead and pick that number. Let's talk about business. For now, it's a goodbye, and see you in the next one.